Hi, my name is Nicholas. Welcome to this week's Yin practice. As far as props for today, I suggest having a couple of your hard blocks nearby and maybe one of your soft blocks as well. I'll invite you to get started in a seated butterfly position so you can sit up off of something if that feels more comfortable for the low back. We'll take the soles of the feet together and then have the knees nice and far apart. And then hard blocks might be handy here if you want to support the knees a little bit as well. We're not actually going to fold for this first shape. We're going to stay upright. So add in whatever you need to make this shape feel comfortable for you. You're welcome to extend the arms out to the knees. You're welcome to close down the eyes if that feels okay. If your body's feeling a little fidgety, feel free to find some movement before you come and find your stillness. Once you find your shape, take a scan to check in to see how the body's feeling today. Notice your breath and notice the quality of your inhales and exhales. And see if you'd benefit from a little more time in stillness, and you're welcome to stay as you are. Otherwise, as you feel ready, you might flutter open the eyes, wiggle the fingers and the toes. And you can use the hands to guide the knees back together. It might feel nice to windshield wiper a little bit. Awesome. When you're ready, we'll bring the left leg up towards the top of the mat. So left shin mostly parallel to the top, and then you can work the right leg around and under you so that you can point those right toes back. Now check in here before we set up for pigeon pose. So if this shape feels too intense, then you can play with bringing the shin a little closer to the body. You can also play with adding a prop for support under the knee or under the foot, maybe under the back knee if it feels sensitive. You might also tuck the toes and see if you can shift that back knee a little further back, see what this feels like. It's still relatively early in practice, so if for the first minute or so you want to stay upright here, or maybe you have props nearby and you want to bring the elbows down onto them, something like that, then go for it. If you feel ready to fold over the body, then go for that instead. And again, you might choose to use your props in a different way, maybe to support the head. And make sure you're finding a pain-free expression. So if you do start to find pinching somewhere in the body or anything that feels sharp, electric, anything that you would describe as pain, then gently back out. You can modify, you can skip the shape altogether, but do whatever you need to do. Listen to your body. And then from the shape, listen to your breath as well. If the breath feels a little shallow or choppy, then that might be a sign that you're in a little too deep, or maybe it's too soon to be where you are at. And see if you can find a place that you can still breathe those long, deep inhales and exhales. As you feel ready, you can slowly walk yourself up using the hands for support. And then lean on over to the left side so you can bring that right leg around. And between sides, it might feel good to lean back on the hands, windshield wiper gently to release that left hip. And when you're ready, we'll set up for the second side. So you can bring the right shin mostly parallel to the top edge of the mat, swing that left leg around, and then work that left knee underneath you, point the left foot towards the back. And then see what this side feels like. You can shift that left knee a little further back still if you like. You could point or flex that left foot, see what feels best. Find the angles that work best for you. And again, you might choose to stay upright to begin with. Maybe you're finding that halfway point. Set yourself up, listen to your body, and this side may need something completely different to the first, so feel free to modify however you need. Slowly bring yourself back up. Lean over towards the right, and then you can use the arms to bring that left leg back to the front. And again, maybe a windshield wiper feels good here. You can pause anywhere along the way. And take a moment to release that right hip any way you like. Awesome. And then when you feel ready, we'll swing the legs around to come and find a tabletop position. Just make sure that you have your soft block nearby for this, near the top of the mat, because it might be handy. And then from your tabletop position, with an inhale, lift that left arm up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, we'll thread the left arm underneath the right, settling that left shoulder, the left side of the head to the floor. And this is where the prop might be handy. If the floor is a little far away or a little uncomfortable, you can bring that in. And then see what the rest of the body wants to do here. See if you can lean the hips over towards the left a little bit. The right hand can stay, it can find the left. You could do a half bind if you like. If you're bringing right hand to left, you could keep the arms extended, or you could also bend the elbows. So see what feels best for you for today. And settling into your pain-free expression. And find your breath here. If the right hand is somewhere other than the floor, you can bring it back. And then brace here to unravel. We'll reach that left arm up towards the ceiling and find a counter stretch for a breath or two. And when you're ready, you can bring the left hand back down and we'll set up for the second side. If you need to reset anything or pad the knees, then go for it. When you're ready, right arm reaches. And then thread the right arm through, settle the right shoulder, the right side of the head to the floor, and prop for the head or shoulder wherever you need it. Notice where the hips are, gentle lean over towards the right, and left hand can find the right, a half bind, and gently mirroring whatever you did on the first side. Left hand finds the floor with an inhale, unravel, reach the right arm to the ceiling, counter stretch. When you're ready, you can bring the right hand back down and move your props out of the way. We'll lower all the way down onto the belly. Untuck the toes, any adjustments you need. And then we'll set up for Sphinx pose here. So a few different options. You can start off by bringing the elbows underneath the shoulders. If you want something that feels like a little less of a back bend, you can think about walking the hands forward a little bit. If you want to add on a little more, then have your hard blocks nearby, and you can use them to prop up the forearms. And whatever you're choosing, again, make sure it feels like a pain-free expression. If you do start to feel pinching or anything in the low back, then think about lowering down a little bit. And take a moment to notice the lower half of the body. If there's something that's holding that doesn't need to be, maybe it can soften a little bit. Think about closing down the eyes, following your breath here. Last few breaths here. Mm. And when the time comes to come out, you can remove your props and slowly lower the spine back down, maybe stacking palms under the forehead and give the hips a rock side to side. You can keep the body as it is, or take your torso a little bit over towards the top right of the mat. You can keep the arms, or you could extend them here. And think about taking the right foot towards the bottom right corner. Maybe the left ankle can cross on top of it. And keep the pelvis heavy. Find that stretch through the left side of the body. If the ankles are crossed, then you can release the left foot to the bottom left of the mat and walk the torso back to center and then over towards the top left. And then think about crossing the right ankle on top of the left and finding that stretch to the left to the right side of the body. You can uncross the legs, you can walk the torso back to center, and then as you're ready, we'll flip up onto the back. And take a moment to set yourself up here. You can bend the knees, walk the feet in so that they're roughly underneath them. And then from here, bring the right knee in towards the chest and just give it a squeeze for a moment, maybe a little rock side to side. And we'll set up for a half happy baby, but if this feels like a better place to stay, then you're welcome to. You can take that right knee a little bit over towards the right shoulder. If you're coming to half happy baby, then reach right hand through the inside of the right knee to catch the foot, the ankle, or the shin, and then bring that right foot like it's standing on the ceiling. Now, if you want a little extra support here, there is the option to bring a block and slide it underneath or kind of to the top of that right thigh, just so that it can have something to lean into. And then if this feels better with the left knee bent, then keep that. Otherwise, you might think about extending that left leg towards straight. Left hand can find support, maybe for the hip or counterbalance out to the side. If you need a little rocking here, then go for it. Otherwise, settle into your shape. Think about using the left hand for support to gently release the right leg and lower the right foot down to the floor. You can rebend the left knee. You can bring a block over towards that left hand side if it was helpful on the first. And then think about reaching the left arm through, or rather, and then think about collecting that left knee towards the chest, giving it a squeeze and a little rock side to side. And again, you might choose to stay here. You might choose to draw that left knee towards the left shoulder a little bit. Or think about half happy baby, reach the left arm through, catch hold of the foot, the ankle, or the shin. And the option to bring that block a little closer to support the leg. And then you might stay here, or you might think about extending that right leg down the mat, maybe that right hand to support the right hip. And gently think about releasing, maybe with the support of the right hand, lower the left foot down to the floor. And then you can rebend the right knee as well, give the knees a gentle windshield wiper side to side. Awesome. And then check in here, see if your body's asking for any last stretch or movement. It might feel nice to connect the both knees into the chest and wrap the arms around them. Give yourself a hug and a squeeze. You can lift the head and neck up off the floor as well. Maybe roll out on the spine a few times. And if there's anything else, then go for it. Otherwise, when you're ready, we'll set up for Shavasana. I'll invite you to find butterfly legs here. So if you want to have your props nearby, you can do soles of the feet together, knees wide. This time, the reclined version, maybe a prop under each knee. If you prefer to have the legs extended, then go for it. Or if there's anything else, find your version of a quiet, symmetrical shape. Let the body start to feel heavy here. And settling yourself in. Gently deepen the breath to reawaken the body. If you're in butterfly, then you can reach down and gently guide the knees back together. And take the feet wide apart and let the knees rest in for a few breaths, maybe hands on the body. And when you feel ready to, think about rolling down onto one side, maybe a pause for a couple breaths. And with the support of the hands, making your way up to find any comfortable seated position. And take a moment to settle the hips, to lengthen the spine, to soften the shoulders. And take a pause here and scan through the body just to check in, see what everything feels like. And perhaps connecting the hands in at the heart, bow the chin in towards the chest. And thank you for sharing your breath and your practice. Namaste. Thank you for joining me for Yin practice. And my name is Nicholas. If you have any questions, please reach out and have a great evening.